Welcome to Love for the Truth Radio, a program devoted to encouraging you to be a contender of the faith in an ever-changing church culture. On Love for the Truth Radio, we will discuss current issues and challenging views along with biblical truth that can affect our Christian worldview and how we live out our faith. And now, here's your host, Cindy Hartline.
Welcome to another edition of Love for the Truth Radio. We're excited today because we're going to introduce to you, our listening audience, Sam Negron. Now, Sam Negron is an artist, he's a lyricist, and he is a musician. And he has his new music, his new album out that we'd like to introduce you to. Sam just got back from Israel, and I know that he has a lot to share, not only about what's going on there, the climate that's going on there, but how it may affect him writing lyrics for his next songs. And so, Sam, do we have you on the line?
Yeah. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Sam.
I'm so excited to be on, and I can't imagine what to do.
That's funny. Well, you know what, Sam? You know, when you first went to Israel, I think we were so excited because you were there on a missions trip. We asked you to bring some of your albums, your CDs with you of your new songs out there. And it was a surprise to all of us that you were able to, or you had the privilege to hand out some of your CDs, and it went very, very well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I've been through Israel 3 times, and on the second visit, I was able to go there with my wife, Hetty, and she assisted me. We were shooting a bunch of video footage that we were using for a DVD, and in addition to that, was able to bring over a bunch of CDs that Rich Hartline from Horizon, your husband, helped me out with, and we've been working on the EastGate project, which what I'm calling it, as opposed to it being just a band, it's more of a project that was inspired in my first visit to Israel, standing before the EastGate on the Mount of Olives and just imagining the Lord sitting there himself and just pondering, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, if you only knew the time of your coming. And that just inspired me to go ahead and start the EastGate project and start writing music for it. And so there have been pieces that have been coming out as time goes on.
Well, that's so exciting. I cannot imagine being in Israel near the EastGate and then writing a song about it. Can you share with the audience some of the lyrics? We are going to play some portions of your song, but if you can share some of the lyrics and why or you wrote those lyrics.
Yeah, well, there's one song that I thought really came out very inspirationally, based on Psalm 8, that is called "What Is Man?" And based on, if you're familiar with Psalm 8, it's where David probably sat out somewhere outside of Nazareth or Bethlehem or out in the pasture there, and said, Lord, when I consider your heavens, the works of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have made, I wonder, what is man that you would think of us? And that's what that song is basically based on. And I thought it was a great departure to start from, because when we think about ourselves and our relationship with Jesus Christ, how many times have we asked that question? What is it all about? What is man? And so that's one song that came out of it. And another song that recently was done, just entitled "EastGate," is about Jerusalem and the EastGate. And the lyrics are really a reflection of the idea that not only will the Lord be coming in the future, as we know, he'll stand on the Mount of Olives, and the mountain will split, and he will walk through the EastGate and into the Holy of Holies, and reclaim his supremacy to this earth, which is now in the hands, unfortunately, of evil. but that will be changed. But it also reflects upon the idea that we are children of God, and that He commanded us to occupy until He came. And so that, in the meantime, is what we're supposed to do. So that's what that song is about.
That's just a beautiful definition or commentary on the song. Now, I know that, especially for the EastGate, the type of music that you used for those lyrics or for that song was what?
What, the lyrics themselves?
I think more of the type of music. It seems like it has a very Israeli kind of beat or sound to it.
Yeah, on the song EastGate, yeah, we're still, Rich and I are still working on that piece. As a matter of fact, he's been doing some experimental mixes and stuff like that, but we're thinking of when I, during the second visit, I had heard some Israeli percussion, which is really unique, in comparison to, let's say, Latin percussion or other types of percussion. That Mid-Eastern percussion just has a different type of sound, so we were thinking of kind of starting the song with that, and in conjunction with the guitars, a 12-string guitar, 6-string guitar, and it kind of begins acoustically with just voice, and then all of a sudden breaks into a more contemporary ensemble type of setup where you hear electric guitar and drums and takes off from there and kind of heightens the song. So it has a kind of a dynamic to it that I think really plays well with the idea of the Middle East and the lyrics that go along with it.
Now, Sam, when you visited, I think it was the second time to Israel, you were with your wife, Hetty. I believe it was the second time. And you were on a tour bus, and there was someone there that was, or I guess the tour bus had an opportunity to hear your CD, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I didn't know. Hetty kind of snuck this in behind my back. I didn't even know that they were going to put it on. And the tour guide, Ido, who is a Messianic Jew, really, really liked the song. And the pastor we were with, our pastor, Pastor Chris Swanson, really liked the song. So they decided to put the song on, and lo and behold, here we are, kind of driving through the Israeli countryside, hearing this music, and it was just, sometimes the combination of music and scenery and atmosphere just make for a special moment. Well, that's basically what happened at that point, and it was received very well by everyone on the bus, and lo and behold, I had a bunch of CDs with me that I was able to give out for free, so that kind of got the ball rolling.
That seems like a very surreal moment. I mean, for a musician and an artist, what a perfect setup, a perfect place, a perfect climate and atmosphere to celebrate and to introduce your music to other people, especially in Israel.
Exactly.
How delightful that must have been. So, Sam, where do you think your music is going to go from here? What do you foresee happening?
That's a good question. I really don't know. It's something that I've given to the Lord totally. There was a time when I struggled with those types of things. When I was a secular artist at one time, I used to write every day, and it was kind of the kind of thing where I tried to discipline myself to write. But then when I became a Christian, it's a long story, but basically I wound up becoming very frustrated and then gave it over to the Lord totally and just said, Lord, if you want me to do this, you're going to have to guide me. And lo and behold, over, I'm talking well over a decade of time, there were different things that kind of fell into place in terms of worship. And then getting back into writing, once again, that door opened up for me. And in 2010, I left a place where I was working at for 23 years, and I was like, okay, Lord, what do you want to do next? And I kind of felt him tapping me on the shoulder and basically saying, well, what about those songs you've been doing, And And coincidentally, there was Rich and I kind of, got together, and it seemed like the right moment. So, we started recording songs. And that's where it's at right now. Where it's going to go next, I really don't know. I'm really, really not sure. I don't know if the Lord's going to expand upon this, or if it's the kind of thing where it was just meant to be, maybe an album's worth of songs. Even though I have more than that, I'm not really sure how those songs would be used in a certain way. But I'm just hoping that if it blesses someone, enough that it inspires them to seek more God's face, or possibly go to Jerusalem and see it for themselves. There's a whole number of, of possibilities that could happen that you can only imagine from the eyes of a human being, but you don't know what God's going to do. So.
And isn't that the way it always is? We have a desire in our heart. Sometimes we strive, we struggle to make it all happen. But we know that biblically, the Lord's word says that his thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are not our ways. In fact, his ways are better. But it always seems, I know you would agree with this, but it just seems that when we are willing on our end to give it up, give it to God, then he begins to do the work, and he does it in his way. The way that he has planned for us. And I think that's when I look at your story, Sam, that's exactly what I see. Here's someone that's very blessed, has an amazing ability for writing, for music. You're a musician, and waited basically your whole life. Now you come to a time in your life where you're retired from work, you give it up, and you say, okay, I guess this is never going to happen. And then all of a sudden the door flings wide open and says, here it is. Here's where your ministry begins. And I think it's a great testimony, for others to hear and say, you know what, there's so many people out there that think, okay, their chance is over. The calling that they thought they have never happened. But yet, I know, speaking to some pastors, particularly Jacob Presh, who is basically our teacher. We love to listen to him. He says that our ministry really starts, when we're retired from work, when we've raised our family, when we've worked hard our whole lives, particularly men, when our children are out of the house, then our ministry begins. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we in the Western world, and especially as Western Christians, just have a fixation with the idea of how things are supposed to map out in our lives, that we're supposed to reach a certain age of retirement and, maybe sit on the porch and watch the sunset type of thing, or just play golf.
Yeah.
And I obviously God has a different plan.
He has a different plan. And we're going into commercial, Sam, so if you can just hold on.
You have made us to have control of all your works, of your hands all creation, in the paths of the sea. I wonder what is man. Son of man, you would visit him. Oh Lord, oh how excellent is your name. Faithfulness to Israel. Inside the city walls, he taught and loved and prayed. Tears of blood ran down his face for us all. Along the streets he bore the cross. Outside the gates all sins atoned.
If you just tuned in, you're listening to Love for the Truth Radio. I'm Cindy Hartline, your host for today, and we do have a special guest today, Sam Negron. He's a musician, an artist, a lyricist. He has been traveling to Israel. He comes back with many stories and testimonies and how these journeys have inspired him to write more music. You just heard some excerpts of Sam's songs, and we have Sam back on the line here to continue in our conversation. Sam, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Cindy.
Hi. Okay, well, Sam, I think this is an exciting story that you have to tell. You just shared with us pictures and all that you've learned again. This is what, your fourth trip to Israel?
Third trip.
It was your third trip to Israel. And the whole time you were gone, Sam, we were sitting on the edge of our seat hoping that you were okay, because we were listening to the news, everything that's going on over there, wondering if you got on your plane, you got there safely, wondering how things were going. But you said that the climate was very different there. Can you share with the listening audience what you shared with us as far as, the whole surrounding, all Israel surrounded, with conflict, and yet you felt a peace, basically what the Bible calls a peace that surpasses all understanding. Can you share that with the listening audience?
Sure. Well, since I was there 2 times prior to that, I already had an idea of what to expect in terms of safety and whatnot. But beyond that, there is just a covering that you feel in Israel that is quite frankly, is hard to explain. You have to experience it for yourself. And I'm not trying to make this like some sort of supernatural hobla, but it's really just a peace in the land that when you're there, you actually feel safe. And I mean, aside from the actual fact that there was so much exaggeration going on, and really a great deal of political manipulation, what I think was really boycotting the Israelis to achieve certain political gains from our government and so on and so forth. But aside from the political aspects of it, I mean, getting into the land, getting into Tel Aviv, it was a shame to see that tourism was down, but nevertheless, it was a real bonus for us as Americans being there and being able to support Israel. And the more that we traveled throughout Israel, we started to realize that the Lord had put us in a special place at a special time when Israelis needed to hear that there are Americans willing to come over and support them and say, we believe in the God that you serve, and we serve him as well. And we're here with you to pray with you, to support you, and that there's, the majority of Americans overwhelmingly support Israel, despite whatever the media is disseminating throughout the world. And to see it for yourself is the icing on the cake that really makes it all come together.
Mm-hmm. And Sam, you did have an incident that took place. I mean, you did share with us that that's something that they need to hear. But can you share with the audience also that you had that moment with some of the military there?
Yes. When we were traveling, at one point we were traveling coming down from northern Israel. We passed, and we were passing through Tel Aviv, and somewhere between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, we were able to approach one of the Iron Dome facilities. For those who don't know about the Iron Dome is the high technology of missile systems that protect the Israelis from incoming Hamas missiles. And many people don't realize that within the past, several months, almost 3,000 missiles have been fired at them, and the Iron Dome has had like a 99.5% rate of knocking everything out. Whatever it doesn't get falls into the desert areas. But when we were able to approach these young soldiers, and they're really young soldiers that are there. I mean, they're anywhere from 18, 20, 21-year-old soldiers. We were able to approach their facility and talk with them, pray with them, give them some, candy and some goodies that we had brought, and they were just shocked. I mean, they were totally blown away. You could see it in their faces, and so much so that after we had prayed with them and told them that we were here to support Israel, 2 girls actually came running out and hugged one of the gals that were with us, and I could see tears coming down her face, and you could see she was genuinely moved to the point that that she said, thank you so much for being here, because we actually thought that the world had abandoned us and that maybe America had abandoned us, but to see that just brought a ray of hope into their faces, and that was one of the highlights for me during the trip.
I know it brought tears to my eyes when you shared that story with me. It's a very hard thing to accept that our country no longer, or seemingly no longer, supports Israel. And, especially for believers and Christians that know that biblically we should be upholding them, supporting them, cheering them on, and, of course, helping them in a time of war. So this is very difficult for all of us, But, just talking about your visit to Israel, how do you think this will have an impact on your music?
You mean, are you referring to the overall climate, you mean, of Israel right now?
I think the overall climate, the peace that you felt, just, the sights that you saw, the history, the culture. As a musician, an artist, a lyricist, how do you feel that this may inspire you or impact your music for the songs that you will be writing?
Well, I mean, there's no doubt about it that it definitely has an impact on me personally and as an artist. I mean, while I was there, I was, keeping a journal, and there were many times where I was inspired to maybe write down some lyrics, and at some point I'll put music to that. And how it will turn out, I really don't know. But there is a message and a story to be told that hopefully the rest of the world will hear, possibly through music. I mean, music is a powerful medium that crosses many boundaries, regardless of where we come from. And I'm hoping that it can get out there, because when we started this project, Rich Hartline and I prayed about this, and we were looking to do something that wasn't based upon making $1 gazillion, but rather getting a message out there and music out there that has some meaning to it, without the restrictions of a music industry hawking over your head. So that has been a wonderful blessing for me as an artist, and just being able to freely do something, and hoping that it resonates with people.
Yeah, it is. It is in a better place to not have to sell your music just to get by. It's more of in the hands of God, where you have faith that He's going to take care of it and bless you in other ways and take care of you in other ways. I think that's exciting. But you did mention that there is a message, that needs to get out. What do you think the message is? I mean, Israel's in a crisis right now. All eyes are on Israel in the Mideast. Yet you said there's a peace there that you felt that was different, that you've never felt before. You felt like the hand of God was upon that place. What do you think the message is right now that you feel needs to get out for people to hear?
I think I got your whole question. You were kind of breaking up along the way, but you were basically asking what the impact would be for an overall message here in the United States. Was that your question?
Well, you had mentioned that there's a message that needs to get out and for people to know, and I was just wondering what you believe that message is.
I think for now, the message that I'm trying to, that I feel that God's trying to pass through me as just a vessel of his is with the EastGate project is basically that the time is near. Mm-hmm. I think the time is closer than we think, and we in the United States especially, we live in that bubble that we speak of, and that bubble was kind of popped during 9/11, but it quickly came back. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And now here we are, kind of, going along, watching our programs and being entertained, we just have a very disproportionate way of viewing things. I mean, just recently, for instance, a famous actor died. I don't want to mention names or anything like that, and a very talented person. But you see the media going on about talking about this person, one person who has died, and yet on the other side of the world, you have Kurds. Literally genocide is going on, where children and women are being massacred, and the one person gets so much more attention than that. That to me is a sign that things are way out of whack, and so I'm hoping that possibly my music, if it has an impact, might be to make you contemplate beyond that bubble, if you will, and bring some sort of relevance to what the big picture is, rather than just our cozy little lives. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was just talking to someone recently that people do live in their own little world. And because there's all eyes on the Middle East right now, because we're looking more, in the internet and on Facebook to a global worldview, that there should be more interest in what's happening globally in culture or globally that's changing our culture. And I think we can talk about that, after the break. But I think you're right on there, Sam. I think it'd be great to write music about what's really going on, and how the Bible prophesies what's going on right now, and when we read in Matthew 24, we know that one of the end times signs is deception and not having sound doctrine. We'll be right back. We're talking to Sam Negron, artist, musician. We'll talk more about him after the break.
Many would agree that we are living in unprecedented times. Grave immorality is on the rise, as in the days of Noah and Sodom and Gomorrah. There are wars and rumors of wars as nations rise against nations. Prophecy is being fulfilled as the birth pangs become quicker and harder. These are the signs of the return of Jesus Christ. There is one sign often left untaught. Jesus also told the disciples in the Olivet Discourse to take heed that no man deceive you. This warning applies to us too. Deception has infiltrated the churches through many false teachings and movements, making apostasy paramount. As contenders of the faith, we do our best to research and discuss these false teachings for you, the listener. Thank you for having a love for the truth.
Questions. There's a lot of those flying around, and chances are you've got a few of your own. To make things worse, it seems you can't make a move without bumping into others with the same questions. In this scientific age that supposedly disproved the Bible, it's hard to know what to believe. Wouldn't it be nice if you could find solid scientific and biblical answers? That's exactly what you can expect from Answers in Genesis. Not only that, we have something for everyone, from kids to adults, whether it's conferences, the website, radio, books, DVDs, curriculum, or the Answers magazine. The goal remains the same, to give you answers from the Bible and science beginning in Genesis. As a matter of fact, we're so dedicated to these answers, we built a 70,000 square foot creation museum to point you in one direction, to show why the Bible's history and gospel based in that history is true. The Bible's history will come to life as you encounter 160 exhibits, theaters, and a breathtaking planetarium. So, if you find yourself searching for answers in today's skeptical world, check us out and prepare to believe.
This is Cindy Hartline from Love for the Truth Radio. We're talking to Sam Negron. He's a musician, an artist, a lyricist who has traveled to Israel a few times to not only get the climate of what's going on really there, but to make the Bible come alive and to be inspired for the music that he writes for his new album coming out, EastGate. And Sam, we have only just a few minutes before the show ends. Would you like to just wrap it up with where we can get in touch with you, or get in touch with you, getting a CD from you or hearing your music? Can you give us your website?
Yeah, sure, Cindy. You can go to Sam Negron, that's Negron, Sam Negron, Negron.com. And I have a website at that site. And you can also tap into my Facebook page through there. And the songs that I think right now there's only 6 songs that are up on the site, but as we mix down new songs and everything, they'll be posted, and you can purchase them, through iTunes or a number of other services. and the other thing too is that all the proceeds, I mean, we are taking dedicating half of our proceeds, or at least a good portion of it, toward children that are disenfranchised, sex trafficking and things of that sort. That's something that my wife and I, Hetty, have a heart for, and we would like to see that flourish, to help it along in ministries in that manner.
That's great. Okay, so if you're interested in listening to more of Sam Negron's music and some of his testimonies from Israel and his travels, then you can contact him on the website that he had mentioned. But for now, we thank you for joining us in Love for the Truth Radio, and we're looking forward to chatting with you again. God bless.